Welcome! Today we're going to take a quick look at how Explore Analytics' rich real-time mapping charts can be extended to use custom maps. If you want to map data geographically, you can break it down by any geographic boundaries and show it on any map. And for this video, we'll be using Canada as an example. Let's take a look at a map chart I already have. This map chart is using the out-of-the-box maps that are available when you create a map chart in Explore Analytics. This is using live data from our IT application, ServiceNow, to show where IT issues have been raised over the world. Every map chart has two geographical components. The first is what map we're going to plot the data on. You'll find this in the blue header bar, and out of the box we have three options: World Map, the US 50 state map, and the US 48 state map, which is the same just without Alaska and Hawaii. So these are already provided out of the box, and the map defines how we're drawing the background the data is mapped onto. As you can see, we even draw the map where there is no data, because it's the background to the data. So even though I have no incidents in Antarctica, I still see Antarctica. The second geographical component is listed here on the left as the location by. This is where we look in the data in order to know where to plot it on the map. Right now I'm plotting this by latitude and longitude by walking to the location field's latitude and the location field's longitude. But I could also map it by country or by US state or US county, US zip code. So if any of these attributes are in my data, I can select them to show that. However, if I wanted to do location by Canadian province, I would need to add another custom map. So when we talk about custom maps, you can provide either a custom map for the background or a custom map for the location by. Let's start with the custom map. For all of these maps, Explore Analytics supports a web standard that's called GeoJSON. GeoJSON is a common file type that defines what are the available shapes to draw. So let's click on the Custom button to upload a custom map. Now I already have a couple here that are globally available that I've played around with before, but I don't see Canadian provinces. So I'm going to click the Maps button to edit and click the Add button to upload. And it'll ask me to select a file. And you'll see that I have here in a folder a file called CA Provinces that is a GeoJSON file storing the shape of provinces. And I'm going to rename that Canada Provinces so it's easy to remember. And I will click Close. So now, in addition to the world US 50, US 48, you'll notice that I'm showing the Canada Provinces. And again, because the map is separate from the data might still be plotted based on where the data is. So since we're focused on Canada right now, I'm actually going to filter to where the location country is Canada. So now we're seeing the map of Canada, and we're seeing the individual points that are here. Now, you can always, in Explore Analytics, do by points, or you can fill in geographical areas. But if I want to fill in by areas, I'm going to need the location by to say what areas do I want to fill in. And that's where we're going to, again, use a custom map. So I'm going to click the pencil icon, and I'm going to select, in this case, the same map, and we'll call that Canada Provinces. Now you'll notice that there's an additional option here, which is the property name. The reason is because we need to know what property in the map aligns to what field in the data. So when I select the location field, it's going to try and map it to one of the properties. If I say any, it'll look and see if any of them work. But if I know if there's a specific one, so for example in this data set, the pre-name is the province's name, and PRF name is the province's name in French. I'm going to leave this as any for right now because Explore Analytics will automatically try and finish this for you. So now that I've added this, I can select Canada Provinces as my custom map. And I can now choose from my location field by walking onto location, state or province. Now you'll notice that right now we've defaulted back to the world map. So again, the map that's drawing the background can always be different than the location by that we're using to draw the areas. So you'll see that, here are the particular provinces in the world. But of course, it might still be better for me to, have provinces for both the map and the overlay. And I can see here pretty easily, here's those provinces, and I can see 25 incidents that are in Manitoba and 18 incidents that are in Alberta. And I can drill through and see exactly what those incidents are. Now, because this is ServiceNow and because we're connecting to ServiceNow Live, as Explore Analytics often does, we're actually getting that data in real time. So if new incidents are opened, they will show up automatically on this map with no extra work required. Now that we've created these maps, they're actually available anytime I create new maps. So let's create a new map against a different set of data. So I'm going to create a new view. I'm going to use, in my Explore dataset, I have a data for Canadian federal election results. And again, I'm going to create a map chart. So we'll call this map of results. And we want to select, again, the map chart to create this from scratch. So again, we want to do this by area, and we want to do the location by our custom provinces map. And in this data set, this is actually using the province. And again, we want to look at this for the Canada provinces. Also, because this is a data set that has some different sums, instead of just counting, what I'm actually going to do is take the sum of the total ballots cast. So I will relabel this. So now I can see province by province how many ballots were cast. Because we're doing it by areas, it's actually adding that up for those whole areas. So I can see all of these great ballots that were cast in Ontario and maybe less so in some of the less densely populated areas. So I'm going to show you another quick tool that can help you with some of these more advanced map charts that I find to be very useful. You'll notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 or so provinces that are actually not showing any data. If I switch this to be a list view and look at the data set, what you'll see is that the province in this data set has the English name / the French name. But that property that we were talking about before that we use to match the province in my data to the province in the map only uses the English name. So the provinces that have a French name are not being matched properly, and the English ones are. But don't worry, Explore Analytics can very easily adjust this for you in real time. I'm going to create a new calculated field, and I'm going to use a formula against the data called Delimiter Select. What Delimiter Select does is it breaks the data based on some sort of dividing piece of information, and then it uses one of the sections of it. So in this case, we can very easily split this province field into two different pieces of information. The English, which is before the slash, and the French, which is after the slash. So the slash is the delimiter, so I will provide that as the delimiter. And I will have the formula pull from that province field, and I'll use the first value that comes there. And we'll call that province in English. And I'll drag this to the top so we can see this side by side. So now you see I have the original province field, and now I have a province field that strips out that superfluous French designation so that it will match up the data that's in my map. Now all I have to do is say let's create a composite view on this view, and we'll call this map of results cleaned. The report is still generated in real time, but now it's treating that custom field as if it was a part of that set of data. So now if I do a geographical area by that new custom map and select the province English field, and again use the sum of total ballots cast, and turn this into my Canada provinces again, Now you'll see that because we're using that standard English province name, it's now matching up all of the provinces correctly, which is great because there was a lot of data for Quebec that was not being properly counted. So you can see that the advantage of Explore Analytics is not only that we can access that data in real time, show it in real time on a map, but we can even do adjustments to the data if we need to in order to be able to make the data that's in my data set fit my map. Now, in this case, you're using this for provinces, but because it's all it requires is GeoJSON, you can use even more specific breakdowns, so electoral district or postal codes or whatever type of map you'd like. And now that I have this map, I can actually publish this or share this. So I can publish a live version of this map. We'll remove that clean designation. In this case, maybe I want to present that data in ServiceNow, even if the data isn't from ServiceNow. Make it a nice tall report. And I'll click Finish. So now I have this real-time map. I have a URL. I can embed it into any portal, public or private. And if I go to my ServiceNow instance, I can go and say Add Content and have this Explore Analytics report. Called Map of Results. So here I have this map. I can zoom in and zoom out and adjust it however I want. And I can drill through to view details, and if it's ServiceNow data, I could open up the ServiceNow form, but I have this real-time report of information right here on my dashboard. So now you know how in a few quick steps you can map any of the data you want in a very quick way. So let me show you a couple resources that are really great to use in conjunction with this. The first is, obviously we've been talking about GeoJSON files for the map. You might be wondering, where can you find them? So depending on what type of map you're looking for, there's all kinds of resources on the internet, but for Canada in specific, I recommend going to statcan.gc.ca. This is the Canadian government website for Statistics of Canada, and within that they have what they call boundary files, which mark up all the areas. And you'll see that there's, census divisions, economic regions, metropolitan areas, population centers, right? If you wanted to map lakes and rivers or really any kind of data you want, you can download that. Now, one thing I will point out about Stats Canada is that it doesn't provide it in GeoJSON specifically. It actually provides it in a format called shapefile. So another tool that I highly recommend is this tool called MapShaper. MapShaper allows you to upload multiple different types of geographical maps and export them as GeoJSON files that you can use with Explore Analytics. So you can upload a shapefile and export a GeoJSON file. The other thing that MapShaper allows you to do is simplify the data. So this is a geographic map of Nova Scotia that I got from that same StatCan site. You'll notice that when it's at its default 100%, there's a lot of detail around the coastline that's very specific. Obviously, if you were trying to, chart your sea expeditions, you'd need all of that detail. But maybe for what you need, you can actually do some simplifying. So you'll see that if I put this to 50% simplification, it's still completely legible, but it's maybe a little bit less detailed. And that actually makes the file a lot smaller and load a lot quicker for your users. Just be careful not to oversimplify, or you might wind up with something that doesn't necessarily match up with reality. So a good middle ground is usually very, very good to find. And then the last resource that I wanted to show you is this site called geojsonmaps.ash.ms. This is a public domain site that allows you to build a GeoJSON from multiple countries. So let's say, for example, your company or your organization primarily has its data in Canada, but also has some United States and UK. By clicking, you can add or remove different countries, and then when you say build custom GeoJSON, you'll download a GeoJSON file that covers all of that. So it's really a convenient way to be able to pull together entire regions. You can also, with a single click, get North and South America or, what have you. So very, very quick and easy tool to be able to generate that information. Lastly, the other thing I want to point out is directly from inside our product, if you go to the community and support portal, We have a discussion thread, so if you find resources, please feel free to share them with the community. We have a thread called Custom Mapping Resources that has links to, for instance, MapShaper, the Canadian links that we were using, also New Zealand, if that's of relevance. So as we discover more resources, we'll share them here, and if you discover more, you can share them here as well. And of course, want to repeat again that although we've been using Canada as an example, really any kind of custom map, any kind of geography that you want to report to, you absolutely can. Thanks for watching. We're really excited to see what maps you'll be able to generate and how you can explore your data.